I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist After Show here at AfterBuzz TV, and I am your host and fellow Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist superfan, Brandon Hanna, and I am joined by an amazing panel, as always, and of course, a very, very special guest. But first and foremost, let me introduce her. You know her as a musical theater connoisseur, if you will. It's Emily May.
Hey everyone, I'm so excited to be here. It's such an exciting episode. We're getting down to the wire. I can't wait to talk about it.
Yes, and of course, we always have her. She's amazing. You know her. It's the amazing voice actress herself, Kitty Kaboom.
What's up? I'm so happy to be here. I'm always happy. Zoey's Extraordinary is my shit. And we got Mandy Moore. It's about to go down. Get ready.
We are so ready to introduce Mandy Moore, but before we do, you know him, you love him from his amazing TikTok videos. It's Amelia Sai.
Hi, y'all. I always hate going after Kitty Kaboom because she has so much energy, so I have to really bring it. And if I look down anytime, I'm not being rude, Mandy. I'm just keeping track of our live chat. We have Ivan Soto. We have Ellen Hainwright from Aussie herself. Our #1 fan. So we have a bunch of people in the live chat, and I will try to get their questions out to you guys.
Yes, and last and certainly not least, a very, very special guest that we are all excited to have here today. It's the amazing choreographer of this show and so many other things that you love. It's Mandy Moore.
Yes! Thanks for having me, guys. So fun.
Yes.
You the bomb, girl. You the
You're
bomb.
amazing.
I feel like I need you guys with me all the time. This is amazing.
Yeah, right?
Like,
Just
after
walk
Corona,
6
I'd be
feet
like, you're my
behind you.
squad. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm in.
we're your inner like cheering
Yes.
squad fans, you know.
Love it.
Yeah, I will
Give me an
happily,
M, give me an A, give me
Yes.
an NDY.
we will be your hype squad anytime,
Hype squad,
Mandy.
yeah.
Oh, you guys. Yes, I'm so glad to meet you. This is amazing. Thank you.
Yes, so glad to meet you and have you here. We have an amazing show for everyone today. The family plans Mitch's funeral. It's a dark topic, but we're going to get through it together. But someone to help us get through it is Zoey's new friend, Deb. And Max gets fired. What? I can't wait to talk about that. And of course, we're bringing back our special segment, as always. It's our own internal musical monologues, talking about songs that we would use to maybe inspire and uplift a friend in need. And before we get into all of that, let's just give our overall thoughts on today's episode. Emily, let's start with you. What did you think?
Again, every week is like above and beyond. It keeps getting better and better. This was a tough episode for, I feel like, a lot of us watching. It was super relatable, trying to deal with planning a funeral. So it was super emotional, and it had the balance, but it had the balance of the music kind of bringing out the emotions of everyone, really giving us an insight into what Maggie's going through, which is the hardest thing that anyone's really going to have to go through. And I think there were some really special moments in here that we'll get to talk about tonight. One of my favorites was the karaoke night, because we all like karaoke here. And it was really beautiful. The Mandy, epic dance moves in this episode, and also I saw your little cameo, so it was very, very special.
That happened, you guys. Yep, that happened. I forgot that it was tonight. Actually, when you guys reached out to talk or to have me on, I thought I actually didn't put it together that it was tonight, and just watching it again tonight, I thought, oh my gosh, yes, that was my big television debut.
Yay! It was amazing. I literally yelled, Mandy Moore!
Yeah. Exactly.
It was great.
Yeah, I watch the show every week with my roommate, and she got super excited when you came out. We both did. We're like, there she is.
Yes.
Like, we knew that the cameo was going to be in the episode. We were just waiting for it. So
Oh,
it was
and
great.
Ultimate Bernadette Peters was on, which is like my idol.
Yeah.
I've grown up watching. So the fact that I had double dose of Bernadette Peters tonight, super happy. Bowing down to
Mandy,
Bernadette Peters.
for the record, Emily loves them all, but she didn't even know she was in the Jerk, girl. Can you believe that?
Oh, come on.
I had to
Emily.
bust that bubble because I'm
Jerk.
so
more like
old. I love the
Gypsy and
Jerk.
a little
They've
night
never even
music.
seen- they're babies. They never even heard of the jerk. They're like,
Yeah.
what? What the
Yeah.
heck are you talking about? I'm
Different
like, I get it. I'm older. I get it.
it.
Makes sense.
Kitty Kaboom, while we do appreciate your expertise on the great film, The Jerk, why don't you give us your overall thoughts and impressions on today's episode?
You know what? I'm never disappointed. How could you be, right? Like, this is a really, really well done show. I feel like we're broken records over here, but in a good way. The acting is always superb. The writing always blows our minds. Like, what? And then Miss Choreographer over here, extraordinaire. Quite honestly, we're not blowing smoke. Like, we genuinely love what you're capable of doing, what you bring together. The fact that you're able to bring such sentiment into movement and have it evoke such emotions with people is an amazing thing. Not everyone can do that. It can just be a two-step and we're all going, okay, what's the point? So this is really, really a celebration of you, and we're really glad to have you. So I did love the show, but I'm not gonna front. It wasn't like my favorite or anything. We're being 1,000% honest, right? I loved it, but I didn't love it.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Mhm.
Yeah. Just saying.
And Amir, tell us what you thought, and please say that you loved it.
Oh,
No, I did. I actually did. I cry a lot because I'm a
Yeah.
Gemini. I'm with
Yeah.
a rising as well. So I'm always crying. But this episode really gave me a lot of the feels. When Bernadette was opening up to Maggie and telling her
Yeah.
experience, it was so touching. And Bernadette Peters is my first crush, which was a big telling sign that I'm gay, because she was my biggest crush. In the movie Odysseus, I remember being like, Mom, I'm gonna marry Bernadette Peters. So I love me some
I'm
Bernadette
sure you're not the
Peters.
first person to say that.
I'm sure I'm not, and I'm in good company with that. But Bernadette Peters was such a lovely, cameo, and it was so wonderful. The episode was so telling about how hard it is to have to bury someone. And something that stood out to me, my overall thought was, being in kind of quarantine and Corona times, a lot of people can't have funerals for people they've lost. So it really affected me on another level, because I was like, I know people that have lost people in this time and they can't have a funeral. So when they were discussing the funeral with 300 people, I got kind of choked up. I was like, wow, we're in a pandemic. Like, it really hit me again watching it. So I thought that it was so beautiful. Yeah, it was a beautiful moment. I loved the episode.
Yeah, it really was, for sure. Mandy, as someone who obviously did all the choreography, worked very closely on this episode, and someone who has a cameo in this episode, I was just wondering, as someone who worked on it and as a fan, if you had any overall thoughts on this particular episode as well.
yeah, for sure. I mean, this one was tough. I had actually put on Twitter this evening that for my department, this was one of the hardest episodes, honestly, because how do you create a number in a casket showroom that is to a song that is inherently slightly peppy, but you're trying to convey this idea of people feeling awkward, out of place, and how do you physicalize those emotions, without it just being like, I feel awkward, and so that number in particular was really tough for my department to kind of, I would say, like, crack the code or crack the nut, because it takes us a long time to figure out how we're going to put movement to these emotions. And just like you guys were talking about in this show, we don't just like spread out and dance, like, there's, and thank God, because I would be bored out of my mind if I got hired to create for a show that we just spread out and dance, because I'm at the point where I need more of a narrative or a who, what, where, when, why. And, that can be tough sometimes in this show. And so, I also think we're getting to a point in the story that, Dad's not doing well. Zoey's having a hard time. In 10, she kind of had this breakthrough, I think, emotionally, where she was having these kind of fits with, she had these fights with Max, fights with Simon, fights with the family. So she's learning a little bit more about how to actually speak what she's feeling inside. And I think we're just at a weird crossroads. So funny enough, Kitty, like, I agree. This was a hard episode. I think it was a lot of writing that was like some story points that had to come out that were very difficult to convey. But I'm with you, Amir, that I loved that scene between Maggie and Deb. It was one of my favorite scenes, honestly, of all season. So I just thought they were so, so beautiful together, and to see these grown women speaking about something that they're going through. For me, this episode had like a lot of highs and lows, it like really took me on a journey. So
it was such a journey.
Yeah, that moment was so raw for me. I know we'll probably talk about it, but it felt so real. I felt like I was sitting there with them in this moment. And I feel like so many people are dealing with this right now. I felt like it hit home for me and probably Amir as well.
It did.
So-
It did. And I was also going to say, Mandy, like both Mandy and Em, that scene when she talked about the woman's shoes and thinking, oh, where did I buy that? I remember when my grandma passed away at the funeral, I just remember this woman, her fake eyelashes were falling off. And I was like crying, but all I could see were these eyelashes kept falling. Like it's the weirdest things you focus on in the middle of grief.
You focus on weird things, or like something bothers you for a weird reason because you're in this moment that's so like vulnerable. Yeah, it was just,
you know what
so
touched
real.
me the most about that meeting is the fact that Zoey made the introduction to a complete stranger to the person that's closest to her.
Yes.
So that just goes to
Yeah.
show that with specific subject matter, and this obviously being as heavy as it is, but being as universal as it is, any two people can be from opposite ends of the earth and obviously have absolutely nothing in common, different races, different ages, whatever. But if you place in front of them a subject matter as heavy and as sensitive and as universal as this, they will come together. And before you know it, they're hugging and crying on each other's shoulders. And that's what I kind of love about this show, is that they're like, these are different elements that come together that make for such a beautiful story. We say it every week. You guys are so freaking PC in the best way. Like it moves, it flows. There's no, hey, this is a thing. Look what we just did. We put these two bits together and I bet you didn't think we could do that. It was none of that. It never is. And it becomes unlikely. I don't think any of us saw that coming. We knew Bernadette was going to be on the show, but we didn't know in what capacity. We didn't know how she was going to be presented. And to be able to say, hey, mom, I know this is a stranger and I know this is hella awkward, but check this out. I'm gonna fall back. I'm gonna let you do your thing and check. It's gonna work. Can you just trust me on this? Not only did it work, but they flourished. It was beautiful to watch. I have to admit, I enjoyed that a great deal as well.
Yeah, definitely. So let's just get into a little more deeper, the family planning the funeral. We have that amazing dance sequence that Mandy, you said was a bit of a challenge to do. So I just want to get everyone's thoughts specifically on that and just how that moment, how just being there, like all those scenes with Paul Feig were great. And
So funny.
it was so great to see him on the show.
Yeah.
And so
Totally.
Emily, let's start with you. This is really the reason why this episode was so heavy-handed. Maybe it was a little difficult to watch at points. How did it affect you?
Before you go into that, if I don't give some people some due on the live chat, they're gonna start rioting.
Yeah, let's not have that.
Let's not have that. So let me just quickly give out some shout outs. Okay. So Ellen Hainwright is saying, I got super emotional during tonight's episode. I lost my mom to cancer when I was 20. So the whole planning of funeral thing really got to me, as well as the convo between Maggie and Bernadette. So we're sorry for your loss, Ellen, and we really feel that. Janine, that's really sad. Janine Bryce said, did all the lead actors have dance experience, or did they need to work at it a bit? That's coming from Mandy.
Good question. Yeah, so none of them really have what I would call dance experience. You know, Skylar has obviously musical theater experience. He's a great mover. Alex can move very well. John, funny enough, didn't have dance experience, but I tell him every time, I was like, you know what? I don't believe you because you move too well.
Yes.
I know I'm gonna find some videos.
Yes, baby.
I was like, how does this guy move like this? And he is not, you know, supposedly never taken dance. Like, I don't believe it. But, you know, same thing with Mary. Peter obviously is a theater guy. But that's the beauty, is I think these people have varying degrees. Jane had barely ever moved ever and was scared to death of it. Lauren, same thing. Lauren's just like, you know, she's got theater, but so scared of dance. So it was nice to like gather these people together and try to celebrate whatever they brought to the table. You know, because part of my job as a choreographer is to pull out what they do naturally and what's right for the character in the moment in the scene, but also not like add extra stuff that doesn't need to be there. That's not our world. You know, I'm not asking Mary to do high kicks and twists and turns. That's not how Maggie moves. That's not what Maggie's emotion is. So, you know, for me, a lot of them did not have what I would call dance experience, but it didn't matter because that's not what our show's about. Our show's about movement and emotion and creation. So.
Well said. Thank you so much.
That's so well said. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Go ahead, Em. It's all you.
I felt so uncomfortable during this kind of all these little funeral planning moments because, you know, I've been there. I've had to like make those tough choices, and I felt like the guy selling it is like this car salesman, which they always upcharge. They always try to give you the biggest, like the gold package. I was slightly chuckling because I'm like, oh my God, this is so real. And, and the dance scene in the kind of where the caskets are, it made me kind of step back and realize like, oh wow, like there's moments where in real life, you do want to break out and leave this situation and get away from like all this bad stuff. And I feel like the episode tonight represented those internal feelings really well, because you're trying to do the right thing and like make those decisions and plan all that, but then you feel torn in a different direction as well. So I feel like it was uncomfortable in the right amount of, the right way.
Yeah, I think that was very well said, Emily. Like this show always finds a way to bring us something that is relatable to all of us, sometimes in really good ways and sometimes in really difficult ways.
Yeah.
And I know, Kitty, this was kind of earlier, I think you were speaking about as to why maybe you didn't love this episode as much, but I want to hear a little bit more of your thoughts as how these moments affected you as well.
Well, maybe I didn't love it because every week it brings a punch, right? And this time was a lot more subtle, and maybe my expectations were a little too great. It never disappoints. Let's be clear. I was not disappointed, but I think for me, because I look forward to it and I expect all of these grandiose. I mean, it wouldn't have been called for. Mandy, you literally just hit that on the head. This is about movement incorporated with feelings, incorporated with singing. Like there has to be, forgive my pun, a dance. There has to be a synchronicity. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Where everybody comes together.
Synchronicity, you got it.
There we go. Thank you, my love. So even people that don't dance, like I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, damn, that must be hard. Like people that don't dance and you're playing music and you're asking them to move in special ways. And I've seen people on the dance floor that literally can't even hit the beat. And you're just like, what are you doing? You're killing this. But I can appreciate if you work with them and you literally just kind of show them how to flow into the movement. It doesn't have to be about the dance move so much as it has to be about close your eyes and feel where you're going with this. So this probably show, there was no disappointment. I have to underscore that. But I think what I expect every week is for there to be like a boom, bam, bam. Like every week it teases you like, oh, they about to have a dance off. Oh, they about to be on this sixth floor getting it in. Oh my God, Mandy, because I'm sorry, Zoey cusses everybody out. So I think that's what has been presented thus far. And it kind of was, I don't want to use the word disappointing, but it was a little disappointing only because that's been, if you set the bar here, but there's no bar so much as it was just the realization of it, right? So me being able to watch it and engulf what the feeling was, it kind of made me heavy. And that's a scary moment. Like, my mother has literally written out her whole, like, she knows everything that she wants happen at her funeral. And she keeps talking about getting her affairs in order. And I've literally turned a blind eye because I can't even wrap my head around what that would mean. But I can only imagine that it's a very difficult situation. And Emily, like that fight or flight situation. But I'm a drama queen. If I gotta go, I gotta go. I'm not about to sit here and argue with you, sir, about no $100 more for blah 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 blah.
But sometimes sometimes you're in that like tunnel vision that like you can't see straight. And like when you get to that certain point where things get so far along, like you can't, like things are blurry. And so I feel like it represented it well of just like not being able to necessarily make the decision yourself yet. And that's why, recruiting other people around you,
it's so important.
Needed that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Definitely.
Heavy.
Heavy indeed. Amir, do you have any standout thoughts about this heavy subject matter? And does anybody in the chat maybe have any thoughts that stand out?
I have never seen, and I'm not just saying this because I really already like Mandy and I feel like we could totally get a coffee and hit it off.
Yes, we would.
I've never, totally, right? I've never seen the live chat like this. People are going crazy, so I have to give some shout outs to them.
Yes.
Yes, they are loving. They are loving Mandy.
It.
So we have Rachel Silvestrini saying, I squealed so loudly when Bernadette made an Into the Woods reference, plus Bernadette is a gift. Agreed.
Yep.
And then we have Helen saying that she has loved, she was an amazing guest judge on our version of Dancing with the Stars. So I'm excited to hear her thoughts about that.
Oh, cool.
I want to know. Yeah, so Ellen wants the tea. Give us
Yes,
Okay,
bitch.
so
Spill.
you guys, so this actually happened as soon as I wrapped Zoe's up in Vancouver. I flew back here to LA and I left to go to Australia to judge the Dancing with the Stars premiere, which I had worked on the show for a long time here in the States. And so kind of I'm in the family of Dancing with the Stars. And I had the best time. I just cannot even tell you. I was over there maybe 5 days total. So it was a very short trip, but the dancers, I got to judge alongside dear friends of mine who are also on the show, Sharna and Tristan. And it was.
I love Tristan. Oh.
Yes. He's so hot and so cute and so fun.
So hot.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And Sharna
Mandy,
is just
hook
like
it
a
up.
queen.
Hook it
Like
up.
she is the best. I will. I'll get that for you. But it was so much fun. And they're live too. So like I love the feeling of going live and knowing that everyone's watching and whatever you say, you either sound good or don't. So I'm glad that I didn't come off like a complete idiot. So that's good.
You were great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Tell her
Ellen
thank
is
you.
from Australia, so she's
Yes.
very excited. And we're also getting a lot of messages about, so you think you can dance as well. So a lot of people have a lot of just, we look up to you. I'm a good dancer in normal, but I also have watched the show and really looked up to what you've done. So I really
thank
just
you.
wanted to give you your due. Of course. And then just back to Brandon's question. So Brandon said, he asked me about the funeral and the preparations. Yes, it was a sad episode, but I think that a lot of times with show like this, that there is a lot of dancing and singing, it can sometimes come off campy. So it's really nice to have an episode that is grounding and brings in a new audience. I think that I would be remiss if you didn't get more viewers from this episode, because you're going to get that Grey's Anatomy. You're going to get that audience that wants like that emotional level, which the show has always had, but now it really got deeper. So for me, as kind of a more emotional person, I really resonated with it. And it was truly a gift, not to be facetious, but it was truly a gift.
Cool.
Amir, that is the word I was looking for. Thank you. It was anything but campy, and it could have been. You know what I mean? If the wrong song or the wrong move or anything, I can't even fathom what that would have been like. Let's all dance around the caskets and sing about how we can't figure this out. Like somebody that could have been so like.
My biggest stress in life is like the tone of this show, because it can go wrong. Austin and I talk about that a lot, that like one step off and it could go so wrong that everyone's going to hate it more than anything. So, it's a really fine line that we walk tonally in the show. And, you're right. Like seriously, like what was it? Like, we hate this place and we're going to like jette out the door. I'm like, oh my
exactly.
God.
Pirouettes, darling.
Pirouettes around the.
Yeah,
it could have gone really wrong, but it
could have.
It did.
But it did.
It did.
It never does.
It really is a fine line that you walk very well.
Thank you.
Yes. And it's important to also mention that Austin, the creator of the show, is actually sitting next to you at the dance auditions as well. He made a little cameo.
He made his cameo.
Yeah, because I told him I wasn't doing it. I wouldn't do it if he didn't do it with me.
There you go. Drag him along, girl. There you go. Like, look, I'm going to screw this up. Either you're coming or I'm not doing it. Damn,
Were you
all right, woman?
Were you nervous about your cameo, or did you just feel like you were?
You guys,
Really?
okay, because basically, like a couple weeks before, he had texted me and he said, ha ha ha, I'm gonna write a choreographer role in here. It's just gonna say Mandy in the script. You're doing it. And I just was like, ha ha ha, no.
No, I'm not.
I was like, no. I mean, you guys, we did 61 numbers over the season. So my job was like, whoa, my head was gonna explode. So I ended up, when we got really close, we just kept kind of laughing about it. You'll do it. No, I'm not. You'll do it. No, I'm not. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. And he's like, you're shooting it tomorrow. And I said, well, the only way I'm going to do this is if I don't have to go to hair and makeup, I don't have to go to a wardrobe fitting, and I don't have to figure out any lines. I'm going to improv everything. And he's like, great. And I said, and you have to sit next to me. Okay.
Well,
So
that's
That's
a beautiful
amazing.
thing. Must be nice to be able to call your own shots.
I am
like
calling
that.
your shots.
You're going to be in the show. I will not.
I know.
Under
And I
any
thought for
circumstances.
sure, I mean, I thought for sure he'd say no. Like, that's why I think I kept saying
That's why you kept doing it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
just
they're
keep
like-
throwing it in.
Yeah. No, but then they just like, there I was. And I was like, oh my God. And our director, Adam, was dying laughing because of course
can
we
imagine.
improv the whole thing, and
Right.
he kept being like, "You guys, you're not saying the lines." And he's like, "Whatever, we'll just do whatever. We'll figure it out later."
That's amazing.
perfect.
Yeah.
So were you
it-
very much like Mandy choreographer? Like that was your tone when you're
No,
when you're
what's so
practicing?
funny. Well, no, what's so funny is we always do this cast Zoom thing after each live the East Coast feed. And today Skylar said on the Zoom, he's like, "It's so weird. You're not like that at all. You're such a good actress."
Aw.
Okay, good.
That's
'cause-
right. Glad it
I
worked
know.
for you.
yeah, thanks. Yeah. And Austin was like, "You have
That's
to be more
awesome.
mean." I was like,
That's
"Okay, yeah, I'm not really
amazing.
mean." So
Good for you. I had
No,
some
you're
mean
doing
dance
great.
teachers. Yeah,
No, you're
Yeah.
doing
you are.
great. But let's get back to the episode because we really
Yes.
want to get into the next parts because there's so many parts that
Mm.
we have so many live chats. So Brandon, take it away.
Yes. So you were saying that those cameos, that was a great moment of levity for the show. And another character that brought levity to the show was Deb. But before we get into Deb, I just want to thank everyone at home watching. Thank you so much for making us the ESPN of TV Talk. We would not be able to do this amazing show and interview the incredible Mandy Moore without your support. So please be sure to like this video. If you're in the live chat, tell Amir what you're thinking. Leave a question for Mandy and leave a comment down below. Subscribe to this channel and all the AfterBuzz TV channels on YouTube. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please rate us and give us a positive review there because the audio numbers, they really, really help us out. So please be sure to go ahead and do that. And so let's definitely start talking about Deb because what a treat it was to have this character in this episode portrayed by an amazing actress that we all know and love. So Mandy, I actually want to start off with you. What was it like having Bernadette on set, being able to work with her and just what her character was able to bring to the show?
Well, first of all, she is a G. I mean, she is the best. And I don't geek out about most anyone I've ever worked with because it's like you got to keep your head on straight when you're working with big dogs. And she walked in the room, and honestly, I got nervous. Like I thought, this is, I mean, because same, I grew up watching her on, VHS, Into the Woods, or PBS specials or whatever. I mean, I'm a huge fan of her too. She is the ultimate professional. We got in there, and she's like old school theater. She had her
Right.
heels on, and she, came out, and she's like, "Okay, so where are we starting?" And it was very,
Yes.
it was. It was like such a wonderful collaboration too. Because I said, "Okay, well, this is the gist of the scene. We're going to have an umbrella because we're probably going to be raining. So not only is it logistically great for us, but also we want to do this reveal where we said this like, holy shit, it's Bernadette Peters. We need this moment of like, oh my god, it's her." So we had this this kind of overall idea, and she was just so lovely. Rehearsed for an hour, 2 hours, videoed it, sent it back. She rehearsed again and was even better the second day. I'm like, how's that possible? Whole time
Right.
singing live, you guys, singing in rehearsal. I said, "Do you want to lip sync? We've got your track." And she said, "Oh, no, I'll sing live. Yeah, we got that." I was like, "Oh, okay." On set,
Yes.
the whole time in rain, wind, sleet, amazing. Just she's one of those people you're in the presence of greatness, and you just
Yes.
you're it. Like that's awesome. You're amazing.
Yes.
And isn't it so refreshing to have that sometimes as, the younger people show up? No shade to the young folks. I'm just saying that oftentimes in your early 20s, you're just getting into this thing. You're trying to understand what the nuances are, but you feel like, well, I know from experience that they have like what is that, auto tune or whatever to help my voice, so I don't have to try as hard. I give the impression that and I'm speaking from experience being a mother of a grown person who doesn't try as hard. Love you like cook food, baby, but you don't try as hard. And he could, you know what I mean? But I think they get lazy. There's a part of them that just feels like, why put forth the effort? But then you see a woman of this caliber who doesn't have to try nearly as hard, and she does full out every time.
Yep.
That must be so refreshing.
Yeah, and she just was. I also just appreciated that she also would take notes. If we had notes for either like marks or just thoughts about certain performance things, and then she would listen back, or she'd watch the take back, and then she'd go, "Okay, I was a little off on that. Let's do it again." It was just a really nice. It never felt like she was phoning it in. Felt like she was there to do her job, and obviously just an incredible performer.
That's great.
That is so awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So
it
amazing.
really was. Emily, what was it like for you to see Bernadette Peters in this role, to see the character of Deb? I know you're excited to talk about her.
I
Emma's on
cried.
cloud 9.
Yeah.
I cried on the couch. No,
Aw.
no, with joy. Just I was beaming because you know when you get someone like Bernadette Peters on the screen, it's gonna light up every moment. And so I when I saw the trailer and then when I saw her on the screen, I just was like, I freaked out a little bit. But I think she brought so much to this episode that is far beyond the song she sang and far beyond the conversation she had with Maggie. Like it was such a deep conversation, and I think she brought so much to this episode, and it was a joy.
Absolutely.
That's very well said, Emily. Amir, what about you? What are your
role was made for her. She brought so much to the role, and she's just pure magic, and I still continue to advocate for her to be Miss Frizzle in the Magical School Bus. I think she could nail that. That is a role of a lifetime for her. She could nail that and create a whole new fan base. But I love her. Everyone in the chat is going nuts. They're calling her an icon. My girl Rachel Silvestrini is saying she is such an icon. It spoke to her. She was crying on the couch with her roommates. Like this show touches so many different kinds of people, because even all of us are so different on this panel, but we all connect so intimately on what is being told. And Kitty said it too. It's the way the story is being told. It's not campy, it's not disrespectful, it's not, status quo. It really takes everything to another level. And even having her there, she was only there for 2 cameos, but it felt like she's been on the whole season.
Yeah,
that's just insane.
Yeah, and I feel like to talk to Kitty's point, she said earlier, this episode, I feel like, and this whole season, I feel like touches people because we're talking about universal emotions and emotions that everyone has gone through or will have to go through, and so that's why it connects us past boundaries and past any type of differences.
And that's why
really
it's a shout
well
out to the writers as well, because they could have all these topics on any show, but if it's not done well, if it's not nuanced in such a way that it becomes relatable, whether you were there or not. What if you were there and you were just like, that don't be happening at funerals? Then it would make no sense. But you know that this is a genuine emotion that everyone has felt, or as you said, Emily, will feel, and it's shown in such it feels like they're just so careful with everything, which is so dope. It's such a respect for something that is not normally given on a network show. You just don't associate the two. You think maybe a docu-series, or you think like some Game of Thrones type production that's like huge and lots of money, and we got to fly to like East Bumble, Germany place to do it. I don't know. I sound ignorant, but you know what I mean. So that kind of thing, I think, really helps people to be able to say, not only can I relate to this, but they did it in such a way that I didn't even realize how dope it was until the show gave it a moment to pause. That's powerful. Y'all be doing your thing, Mandy.
You guys, this is amazing. I'm going to tell Austin all this. Like everything you're talking about is what he set out to do. So it's like it's incredible to listen. Like I'm kind of getting emotional thinking of listening to you guys, because it's like all these things is what we were wanting to do. We are careful, and it is real life. You're in weird moments that all of a sudden can be. I think it's so crazy on the show that you can feel like laughing because it's hysterical in a second, and 30 seconds later you can start tearing up, and because that's life. Like that's how it is. It's like you're in a totally sad situation, and all of a sudden you kind of giggle because something happened or somebody said something to you, or I'm so happy you guys get it. Thank you. That's amazing.
No,
thank you
for creating this gem.
I really think that
can we say what our favorite dances are through the season? Can I tell her what my favorite?
Kitty, can I stop you for 1 second? Because I want to finish this topic real quick. I think that no, you're good. Mandy, the only thing I wanted to say is something that we talked about this whole after show. We've all, like, from episode 1 is nuance. I think you guys are so good at nailing that nuance, and even people in the chat are saying universal emotions, universal language of emotion. You also had the sign language episode, the ASL, so beautiful. Like, I got a bunch of DMs from people that were either hard of hearing or deaf, and that episode spoke to them. So I think that it's so beautiful, all that nuance. So there's a quick question here about how in depth do you and Austin get when it comes to creating these dances? Again, all of the nuance, like how often are you guys meeting?
Oh, I mean, we go in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's luckily Austin and I, first of all, are dear friends, dear collaborators. And he, as a showrunner, I'm so thankful because he involves me very early on in the process. So I'm getting information from the outline stage. And he and I, in that outline stage, once we know what the songs are and kind of general idea of where the story's going, we'll have what's called a dance concept meeting and we hash it out. I mean, we go, we break down the songs. We talk about any kind of visuals he sees in his head. And we talk about the emotion we're supposed to feel or any sort of conceit for the number, or we know it wants to be kind of fluid like a oneer. And so we really try to hash all of that out to the, I mean, we go in. Probably, too much,
That's
but I
amazing.
love it. It's like the only way that I can create because it's like I need to answer so many questions in my head before I do dance moves, or they are just dumb dance moves, and I just can't do it anymore in my life. So very thankful for Austin for that. So
it's like
That's
fleshing
wild.
it out, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
So you said you had 61 plus dance numbers?
61 numbers that we created over the
What?
season.
Wow. So doing that for every song.
Yeah,
That's wild, right?
yeah.
That is wild.
It's
Okay,
really
can I tell them my
impressive.
favorite now?
think-
Can I tell them my favorite now? Can I tell them? I'm like,
Yeah.
Okay, really quickly, Kitty, tell her your favorite.
okay, my two favorite dances, girl. First of all, it was, and I hate that he said it first, but it doesn't matter because he hit it right on that. The hearing impaired was phenomenal, and I think I really love the fight song the most because it could have not been a good thing because you expect that, okay, girl, you better bring it because you know we can't. There's a whole lot of elements. It's very layered, right? It's a very layered situation, so it could have been like really funky, and you could have walked away going, I don't think they got it. You so got it.
Thank
And John in the kitchen where he was climbing up, I said, Mandy, you better work. There was not he had no props. There was no coffee pot that he flung against the wall. There was no pot that he banged up. Nothing. He just climbed up with his head, climbed back down. I was like, you are killing. And it was all you. It was such a moment. It was such a moment.
I know we
beautifully done.
I know we have all of our favorites, but Mandy, do you have one that you like are super proud of that you choreographed?
Yes.
Whoa, that's a good question. Well, I mean, honestly, this is gonna sound so lame, but like all of them for different reasons because it's our work. It's like I have that collaboration with them. Yeah, they're my babies. So I really did love Mad World with Simon because again, creating with John is a real treat. And we had done I don't know if you guys knew this, but in the pilot, remember when he sang Mad World and he was at the desk?
Yeah, at the desk, yeah.
Yeah, we had done multiple versions of that because it was a pilot. And so originally we had done 3 versions, basically like the major dance version, kind of what you saw in the kitchen, but it was at the desk.
Yeah.
And we'd done one that was like a little bit stripped down. And then we did one that was sat at the desk and we shot all 3 of them. And we ended up only we had tested the more dancing one with the audience. You know how they do like these test things in pilots?
Right.
And the audience was not feeling it and understood. I think it would have been too soon for Simon, for an audience to see him moving in that way. So, knowing that was in my back pocket and we were like so excited to be able to do it later in the season and just creating with him. And for that, on network television, to see a man dancing and singing like that about something that is not just like, I fell in the checkbox sad. It's like, it's a very twisted emotion he's talking about and he's singing about. And for that to be on network, like, I was just like, I am proud.
That's amazing, Mandy. It's forget hyper masculinity out the window. Like,
I was just gonna say, and they usually attach it to a gay man, so it's all supposed to make sense or whatever. No, that has nothing to do with this. This is literally this man's feeling coming out through dance. Get with it, baby. Get into it. I love it.
Yeah, 100%. I think we're all in agreement here that Mandy, everything you and Scott have done and the whole team, like everything you set out to do, you've accomplished it because we absolutely love the show. And we've only got about 5 minutes left. So I want to make sure that we give some love to our special segment for this week. So Emily, take us away.
Goodness. Yeah, this is like one of my favorite things we do on our after show. So what is our inner musical monologue for tonight? So thinking of songs that we think will help uplift someone in a time of need. I feel like I've shared this song before, but it's one of my favorites that always kind of makes me feel connected to people around me, and I did like a 6-part version of this in a choir, and it's like one of my favorites. And so I'm gonna do "Bridge Over Troubled Waters" by Simon and Garfunkel.
Okay.
And it's one of those songs that builds. You could do an acoustic version, you could do like a full choir with 30 people, and
Beautiful.
I feel like this song connects people, and this would be the song I would sing to my friend or to my mom or to someone that I love. So
Beautiful.
Oh, Em, that's beautiful, girl. I love it.
Amir, do you have one, or a song?
I do, of course I do. I just wanted to clear up in the live chat. People are asking about Max being fired. Yes, Max was fired. I just want to make that because we didn't get to it. We ran out of time because Mandy is so amazing.
Yes, he was
Clear that
fired,
up.
unfortunately.
Yes,
Yeah.
he
He'll
was.
be
So
fine. He'll be
unfortunately-
right back down on the 4th floor. I ain't worried about
Yeah,
that.
he's good. He's gonna be fine.
There you go. So my song is actually perfect. I would sing it to Max. I'd be like, you know what? The Climb by Miley Cyrus. It's a great song. It's layered,
Yes.
and everyone finally saw Miley Cyrus sing on Saturday Night Live, and people didn't know she had such good pipes. I've been a Miley fan since Hannah Montana. So
Yes,
I am,
Miley can
Love
here
it.
for it.
Miley
She
will
can
take you to
sing.
church. Please do not
Yes.
sleep on Miley Cyrus. That thing can sing. Yes, she got blue-eyed soul. She can sing for real.
Yep.
All right, Katie, what's your song?
Oh, it's Moana. It's from the movie Moana, Shiny. I love that song. It makes me so happy.
Love it.
And all my friends know I'm the biggest goofball. So if they were sad and blue and I didn't think it would be disrespectful, I would be like, girl, let's watch Moana. And then once we get to that part, we can dance and sing because everything's shiny.
I
and
love
happy.
it. I love it. Kitty, we're gonna sing Moana later. We're gonna have a little dance off or sing off. Brandon,
what's up.
do you have a song you would sing to a friend, help them cheer up a little bit?
Yeah, for me, I had to do some research and I had to really think about my answer. And a song that I came across that I felt the lyrics, the vibe of the song really was uplifting, and something that I would try to do is just really try to like let my friend know that everything's gonna be okay, we're gonna be good. So I thought of "Good to Be Alive" by Andy Grammer.
Oh,
I thought
great
that would be a
song.
very
That's a good one.
I'm not
Great
even
song.
hip.
So
Sing
good.
it,
So
Brandon.
I thought, I was just like, it's good to be alive. Like things are gonna be okay. Like we're gonna
Yeah.
get
Is
through
that how it
this.
goes?
So
Sing
Oh,
it,
it's
I
no,
would
it
try to
does.
do
It
to a
goes
friend,
like
for a friend.
good, read right about now. It's so
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Okay,
we
I
had
gotta
him on
look it up.
Dancing with the Stars. It's a really great
That's
song. It's happy.
amazing.
Look it up. That's what's up.
Mandy, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but do you have a song that you sing that you would sing to a friend to cheer them up?
Probably something like "Make You Feel My Love," Bob Dylan, or
Oh,
the Adele version.
Yes.
The Adele version.
So I
Girl,
brought that song up. So I wrote an article for AfterBuzz about
she
what
did.
Zoey's playlist would do during quarantine, and
Oh,
one of
Awesome.
those songs was on my list.
oh, really? Oh, amazing.
That's
So we think the
so
same.
cool.
Okay.
There you go.
Very cool.
I love that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you all, you guys. Those are all wonderful songs.
Yes.
And yes, let the chat know that I want to hear what the songs they would sing in their
Yes.
for their inner monologue.
I will.
definitely.
We actually have a couple songs, so let me just quickly give out a shout out. So we have "Skyscraper" by Demi Lovato. That's a great song.
That's a good
That
one.
is a great song.
That's a really, really good one. And I also had a quick question from the chat from Mandy. You worked with Alice Lee. What was that experience like?
Oh, yeah, it's like, don't sleep on Miley, don't sleep on Alice. She is so talented. I mean, doing buttons with her, well, first of all, I got to do the contemporary number with she and Andrew in, I think it was episode 5. And that was my first time basically working with her because I hadn't had much experience with her. And first of all, she can sing her face off. And she's an amazing dancer, a very good mover, and interesting choices too. Like she brings great choice to the movement. It's not just, I don't feel like I just have to say, do it like this. I'll say, I think something like this, and then she'll kind of put her sauce on it too. And I really love her. She's really talented.
That's what's up. I'm about to YouTube the mess out of her.
Yeah.
She did.
Well, unfortunately, we are just about out of time on today's show. I know we could sit here for hours talking to Mandy, but Unfortunately, we do have to wrap things up. So Emily May, let's go to you. Where can people find you online if they want to reach out to you and geek out over Bernadette Peters and all things Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist?
Yes, please do. I would love that. So you can find me on all social media platforms at Emily May Heller.
And Kitty Kaboom, where can people find you?
Just like you said it, brother. On IG, I'm Kitty Kaboom, KITTIEKABOOM, and on Twitter, Kitty Meow. Oh, yeah.
And Amir Yasai, where can people find you?
Yes. Oh, so Rachel Silvestrini is saying, all I want is for next week's episode to end with Max and Zoey doing a Sebastian and Mia-esque waltz. So we are here for that as well. And I just want to thank Ivan Soto, Ellen Heinrich, Rachel Silvestrini, and all of y'all for being in the live chat here with Mandy. You can find me at Amir Yas _ on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok because I need a lot of validation. So there we are.
You're funny though. That you're really good.
Yeah, definitely check that out. And Mandy, it was such an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, be able to sit down and talk to you and geek out over this show and just all things musicals. So it was an absolute treat for us. If the fans at home are watching, want to keep up with you in the meantime on Twitter or wherever else, where can they find you?
Oh, it's a good one. Nope, not her. Yep, because it doesn't look like that. So most people don't know that's what it is, but it is actually Nope, Not Her. And that's on Twitter and Instagram.
Love it. That's
awesome.
Perfect.
Absolutely love it. So that wraps up this show for this week. We only have one episode left this season. I can't believe it. It's really sad, but we are going to be here to cover it next week.
No question.
And once again, huge appreciation.
I know.
Once again, huge appreciation to Mandy. And we will see you all then.
Thank you
Thank
guys
you
so much. Bye,
Thanks,
guys. Thank you so much.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.